Trump is a delusional liar and a moron who truly believes that we can replace income taxes with tariffs. And I'm going to use some cold, hard facts and some mathematics from data that I pulled from the internet using my own brain to show you that he's 100% full of poo-poo. So let's start with the numbers here. Brace yourselves, MAGA clowns. I know, numbers are difficult. It's hard, bruh. It's difficult. You got to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who the hell's calling me? So, what was the total taxes collected by the United States government for the fiscal year 2024? Well, according to the internet, the U.S. government collected $4.92 trillion of taxes in the fiscal year 2024. How much of each category was the taxation? Well, for estate taxes, these are basically death taxes. The U.S. government collected $30 billion. Customs duties, tariffs, the U.S. government collected $80 billion in fiscal year 2024. Excise taxes, I guess like gasoline and stuff like that, they collected $100 billion. Oh, but it gets better. Miscellaneous income, $40 billion. Corporate taxes, the U.S. government collected $530 billion. Social Security and Medicare, which is disproportionately paid by the working class, they collected $1.71 trillion. And for individual taxes, the U.S. government collected $2.43 trillion for a total of $4.92 trillion. That's how much money from taxpayers the government collected. So we're going to replace income taxes with tariffs, bro. We're going to be so rich, we're going to pay off our debt. Well, even if we just wanted to pay or to finance individual taxes from tariffs, we'd have to generate $2.43 trillion of revenues from tariffs. But it gets even better, okay? So what were the total imports of goods into the United States in 2024? We imported $3.295 trillion worth of goods. So if we're using tariffs to raise tax money for the government, it's going to come from those imports, right? What would the tariff rate have to be on the imports, assuming they're the same in 2025, roughly, but they might drop? We'd have to charge a 73.75% tariff on $3.295 trillion of imports in order to completely replace income taxes. Now, sure, most income taxes are paid by the rich, but everybody pays Social Security and Medicare. So what tariff rate would we have to pay to charge in order to replace Social Security and Medicare? Well, we'd have to do an additional 51.9% tariff, averaged out across all goods imported into the United States. To replace corporate taxes, we'd have to have an additional 16%, miscellaneous, 1.21%, excise taxes, 3.03%, and to replace estate taxes, we'd have to have a tariff of 0.91%. The total tariff rate averaged out on all goods coming into the United States would have to be 146.89%. So we're talking about doubling the cost on average, more than doubling, of every item that we're buying from overseas in order to replace all taxes. Your income taxes are not going away. And even if they do somehow do that through unfunded tax cuts, your Social Security and Medicare are still going to be there, which is most of the tax that poor people and lower middle class people pay. But that's not all. You're going to have to pay the tariff tax through all the goods that you're buying. The seller can't eat all the tariffs. You're going to pay that. So there's literally no change. As a matter of fact, your taxes would go up. If you are lower middle class or poor, your taxes would go up because all of your income would still be subject to Social Security and Medicare, right? If we just replace individual taxes. And then you don't pay individual taxes anyway because standard deduction, tax credits, earned income tax credit, child tax credit, daycare credit, you don't actually pay a lot of taxes if you're poor or lower middle class. But now that tariffs are being assessed on all goods coming in, you're paying the tax whether you know it or not. And it gets even better. So the whole point of these tariffs is to reduce the amount of goods manufactured overseas so we can, have stuff made in America. Well, if that's the goal, the tariffs would partially solve that goal, right? So where is the income going to come from if we massively reduce imports? Because the whole point of tariffs is to generate tax revenue from imports. We're actively trying to reduce the trade deficit. So if we implement the tariffs, our imports would plunge, and that would bring down the tax revenue. So you're not actually going to collect the tariffs that you think you're going to collect because imports would vertical line down. So you tell me, is the Trump plan to reduce imports with tariffs, is that feasible? No, it's not. Your taxes aren't going away. The only thing that Trump is doing is disproportionately raising a regressive tax on the people that can least afford it. Inflation has wrecked most poor Americans. Inflation hasn't hurt me, and I'm not even rich. But if you're lower middle class or poor, inflation has destroyed you. And now Trump has raised or wants to raise all the prices of all the goods that you are forced to purchase. It's going to wreck the poor and the lower middle class, you morons. So what do you think? Is this delusional that we can, as long as we have 146.89% tariffs and imports stay at 3.295 trillion, which they're not going to, we can replace all taxes that are actually assessed? Do you think that's actually reasonable, or do you think that's pure delusion? And it's going to be self-defeating anyway because we're trying to onshore, which means imports would come down, which means we wouldn't collect as many taxes from imports, and it defeats the whole system. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, check out the pinned comment. I'm a certified public accountant. I will do your business and or personal taxes. There's a whole presentation in the pinned comment below. I do bookkeeping as well. If you're a small business, you need to categorize your transactions into easily understandable financial statements. I do sponsor videos, $50 a pop. I have a book, Stop Being a Broke Loser, and I do one-on-one consulting and tutoring. All of that is in the pinned comment below. You pay me, I provide you a service, and we're all happy. And there's no tariffs. Cheers!